All right, everyone, welcome back into another prop betting video. We have a one-game slate here between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the San Antonio Spurs. Going to give you guys the top prop bets for this game. Let's go and break it down. So guys, I am doing this video the night before, okay? So I do think we're going to get some decent edges with some of the bets here. Looking at Dante DiVincenzo, obviously still out, but other than that, Minnesota is going to be good to go. On the flip side, we do have De'Aaron Fox listed as questionable, which is pretty interesting. Obviously, if he sits, that could create a lot of value for us. Players that benefit with him being off the court: Wemby, Castle, Vassell, and I mean, that's mostly in terms of significant upgrades when you look at their per 36 production, but really everyone else would get a little bit more run that typically does, and maybe someone like Keldon Johnson slips into a few more minutes and some of the bets for him become interesting. Now I'm expecting Fox to play, but that's pretty interesting there. This ends up being a 10.5 point spread as well, so you kind of would expect Fox to be active based off of that line. Decent game total, pretty high scoring, 218.5. Now we mentioned De'Aaron Fox is questionable, but I do want to get your guys' thoughts on what happened last night, or it's last night as I'm recording this video, the previous matchup in this series of this play, because this play was just strange to me. The more I watched it, the more I got annoyed by it, because it really starts out here with this box out with Naz Reed, and Wemby gets mad basically that Naz Reed is not allowing him to get a free rebound because he's boxing out. So that was already something weird. And then obviously Wemby does the direct elbow to the near face, to the neck. Clearly he should have got ejected. Like, he's looking at him, right? He knows exactly what he's doing. Clearly he should have got ejected. There have been some people talking up some of the looks on players' faces. It's comical there. But the fact that Wemby wasn't fined at all for this is insane to me. I understand maybe not suspending him for a full game back. Give him a quarter. You know, obviously he should have got ejected from that game. Give him a quarter off of that game, like a full game suspension, you know, whatever the time allotment would be, because that is a crazy and dangerous play. If he is 3 inches higher and hits him in the temple, that could be serious damage. There's a reason why UFC fighters go for elbows in fights. The more I watched it, the more I got upset with it, because of that shove at the end there too. It's not just the initial elbow. It's not like it was an accident, right? And by accident, I mean he was clearly trying to elbow him, but the contact of where he got him, you know, maybe he was trying to get him in the chest. No, he is directly trying to do damage to him, and it's not like coming off of a play where Naz Reed was just dirty. I always remember the Giannis play with Mike Dunleavy, where Mike Dunleavy was being dirty the whole game, just did a dirty play to Giannis, and then Giannis just goes and, you know, checks him after a 3-ball play. Fair game there, right? Fair game. This was just, I don't want to say it was out of nowhere, but that shouldn't happen in this sequence, right? It's the fact that he keeps going at it too. It's just an insane, that is insane. And then it's the shove at the end. He didn't care. That was definitely intentional. Give him a full game's worth out. And at the very least, suspend him. Or not suspend him, fine him. It's insane they didn't get fined. And I don't know if I'm just taking crazy pills, but the NBA is weird with some of the players that they vault up. Jokic, randomly, they vaulted him up, right? Especially over Giannis, who was a very easy to cheer for player. They're just no, we're going to go with Jokic. They're doing that with Wemby now too, where it's he cannot do anything wrong. The NBA does that, and the media coverage around him is like that as well, where everything he does is just glorified. And it's just the weirdest thing. And this is a clear bad move, right? It's not that hard. It's not that hard to call balls and strikes. This was something he shouldn't have done. Fine him at the very least. And it's just this weird thing that's going on with some superstars. And I don't know, I'm definitely reading into this a little bit too much, but I am curious as to your guys' thoughts on this, because to me, it kind of is a series defining play in one way or another. And so I do think maybe not in terms of predictability, but in hindsight, there's going to be some bets, whether Wemby's going off or whether Naz Reed's going off. Mike Conley was in the mix of that play a little bit. Like one of those players, probably Naz or Wemby, are going to be extra motivated to play well in this game. And we could be kicking ourselves for not really going in on that. Now, ultimately speaking, I think Wemby's a little bit soft, you know, more physically than maybe mentally, but we'll see. It'll be an interesting game. This is a career-defining game coming in off of a moment like that. So I'm not sure if I want to get in on a bet with Wemby here, guys. He's at 60.5 for his fantasy score. I actually don't hate the idea of getting into this one. I think this could end up being a pretty interesting bet. But at the same time, Like he's going to try to play hard, right? Like that's going to happen. And if he does, and if it is a 10.5 point spread with a decent game total for the playoffs, he should be able to get this over. And he only played 12 minutes in that last game, guys. So like that's part of it as well. Like he's fresher, more motivated to play well. The question really comes down to, is Wemby soft mentally? Is that going to get to him and he's going to not play as hard, or is he going to go extra hard in this game? That's up for you guys to decide. I will say, I don't want to bet on his over 26.5 points or his rebounds. If you're betting on Wemby, then you could do rebounds. But if you're betting on Wemby, you're betting on him to just have a massive game, to have a lot of blocks and or steals, mostly blocks, right? And so the 60.5 fantasy score line is extremely high. Maybe you could get to his underdog line. They have been a little bit lower in some spots with those fantasy score lines. So definitely worth calling that out and definitely be on the lookout for that, guys. But he's someone where if you want to juice up, maybe his rebounds or something like that, maybe his blocks and steals, I think that could end up being a viable route to go. And then on the flip side of that, yeah, we have to talk about Naz Reed, who was on the receiving end of that one. Is he concussed? No, he was in the neck. That's another question. Like if he did make contact with his chin and maybe he gets concussed or something like that, does Wemby then get fined? Like that's a weird thing. It's like, oh, the outcome matters. No, I think the intention behind the act matters more. This is kind of weird. Anyways, Naz Reed here, guys. So again, the whole point is, will Naz Reed now be motivated to play well? Now, obviously with Wemby being active, that's going to potentially hurt Naz Reed's ability to have a good game, right? But at the same time, Reed's getting, or has gotten, 30 minutes in a lot of these games, which wasn't always guaranteed for him. And so I do think this could end up being a pretty good spot for him. We look against San Antonio this season, has been a little bit hit or miss, but we take a peek. Got the over in the last game, 42, 17, 25.3, just missed the over, 3, 40, and then 29. So for the most part, has been able to get the over in this game or in this matchup, especially in games where he's gotten over 31 minutes or over 30 minutes. All but one game in which he's gone over 30 minutes, he's gotten that over. So I'm more in line with Reed having a good game. I very much could have like a weird Wemby bias though, just because of the treatment he's gotten. And to me, it just seems a little random. His points, rebounds, and assists, also a pretty interesting line there. That might actually be better. It might be better. Let's go with that one instead of his fantasy score. But either way, you guys get the point there. Though I want to spend some time on those two. One, it's an interesting story, but two, I do think there could be a potential edge there, and it just really depends on where you guys might see that. Now, we are getting a plus EV bet as I'm recording this video, which actually ends up being Terrence Shannon to get over 6.5 for his points. So 55% likelihood for this to hit, guys. He did get the over in the last game, ended up playing 20 minutes, 12 shot attempts, 3 for 12. So he didn't really shoot the basketball well and was still able to, one, get the many shot attempts off, but two, get the over. In another game, guys, 2 for 8, not necessarily a good day shooting, but not terrible. And then some of these other games, he was getting a little bit more run, but that was with, Io being banged up or out. And so that does matter. His minutes probably come down as well. And so I'm a little indifferent about that, but because it's a plus EV bet, we do need to begin to that bet. And so from there, guys, we'll go and take a peek at the rest of the good prop bets in this game. So yeah, the Sol to get over 6.5 rebounds and assists. I don't mind this. 53% likelihood for this to hit. He's been pretty solid in this matchup thus far. And let's see, he's averaging 4.2 and about 2.5. So slightly averaging the over in this matchup against Minnesota this year. Kind of interesting. Let's talk about Castle. And so let's just prepare for if Fox is going to have to sit. Again, I'm kind of more leaning towards him playing. So guys, Castle, his per 36 production with Fox off the court. We're just going to prepare for if this news hits. What do we do? Castle averages 44 fantasy points per 36. So obviously 10 more. And there's a good chance that he gets more than that many minutes or around there, maybe 37. Really depends on the outcome of the game. Now, with it being a 10.5 point spread, maybe he doesn't get that many minutes, but he'd be part of the reason as to why. This is worth calling out that he does average 21 points per 36 as well. So, maybe a little bit of an edge there with that 17.5. About 7 rebounds. So, points and rebounds could be a decent one there. And about 9 assists. His usage rate is 28% with Fox off the court. For what it's worth, guys, Wemby's is 34%, averages 66 fantasy points per 36. So worth calling out. The next player up in terms of minutes would be Dylan Harper. Can we trust him? That's my biggest question. I mean, he has been pretty good thus far this series. There's no arguing that. Probably fair. I mean, most minutes with Fox second most minutes with Fox off the court. Points is about 19 points per 36, 6 rebounds, and about 6.4 assists. Fantasy score does average about 38 fantasy points per 36, actually. So really, all these bets for him actually could be appealing. And so I think Fox is going to be good to go. Could end up being a moot point here, but that is how you have big days, is attacking potential edges. And so if you want to run out a bet slip where we're preparing for Fox to be out, just trying to get lucky, maybe not a bad route to go, especially on a 1-game slate in the playoffs in the middle of a series where the lines are, a little bit more defined. And then we do need to talk about Keldon Johnson, who has the third most minutes. He would most likely pick up additional minutes and usage with Fox off the court. And so Keldon Johnson per 36 production, guys, ends up being 8 rebounds. Now the question is, could he even get 36 minutes? No. And so I don't necessarily want to bet on his points primarily, his rebounds primarily. I would want to bet on his points and rebounds like this bet. Worth calling out his per 36 production, 19 points, again, 8 rebounds. So all in all, this could actually end up being the better bet for us to get to. Now, what was interesting is that with Wemby off, for most of the game, he did not get additional run, only 17 minutes. You would have thought he would have. So kind of just interesting there. And then we just take a peek at some of these other bets that we were getting here, guys. Julius Randle under 4 assists. All the data points really like this one as well. I think we can get to that. That ends up being a decent bet there for this game. 53% likelihood almost for that to hit. Sure. I'm not going to bet on his under 25. He actually ended up coming through for us, getting his over fantasy score in the last game. I do think 25.5 ends up being a pretty solid line. And he is someone that, if we look at it, guys, 3 for 12, 4 for 12, over the last couple of games, just not having that many, good nights shooting. And so you would expect him to have a better night shooting, like just coming in off of 2 bad games. Maybe that's due to his injury. Sure. But one more game healthy now. Some of the lines that we're getting on him, to me, do seem to be a little bit too low. His over 16 assists and points, I don't mind, or his over 12.5 points. That can end up being a good bet as well. This is one where if he does have a good day shooting, like literally just needs a bucket more in these 2 games, right? Which isn't asking much. That's still kind of a bad day shooting for him. 4 for 12, 5 for 12, like that's still not good. And he gets those overs. And so again, kind of due for a good day shooting. I don't mind the idea of betting on some of his overs here in this game. We continue on here, guys. We are going to see De'Aaron Fox for his under 17.5 points. Maybe not a bad idea to go with, where maybe he ends up being active and not being able to go as much. It is a right ankle injury, and maybe that ends up hindering him. I mean, he did go 1 for 7 from the 3-point line, did end up getting 10 free throws though. So added on 7 points there. If you just take his raw, production, take away 7 points, right at 17, then but can't exactly do that because we know he's going to get to the free throw line at least, maybe, but maybe he's just not as aggressive. Maybe he's under fantasy score potentially, especially if we are running out those other bets. Maybe this ends up being the better bet to go with. Maybe just ends up being more of a facilitator. We got Vassell, 13.5 points. I don't mind him. We didn't mention him too much. He does get the 4th most minutes, guys. His production doesn't necessarily go up. Actually, with Fox off the court, it's basically the same. His assists go up by 1.4. That's the biggest difference. And so probably no need to bet on him just in general. Mike Conley, 2.5 points. Kind of laughable, right? He's someone that was getting heavy minutes earlier on in the series, and then he's at 2.5 points. Just not going to mess with that one there. And really, the rest of these bets to me mostly feel correct. Like Jaden McDaniels, 2.5 assists. Don't need to get to that. Again, Keldon Johnson really just depends on the status of Fox. If Fox is out, this ends up being a pretty easy bet to bet the over. If Fox is active, we probably would be wanting to bet on the under. This is probably one of the more interesting ones to me. I hate the fact that Vegas is telling us to bet the under. If they're telling us to bet the over, like 51% likelihood for the over hit, I'd be much more inclined to get to this one. I'd be jumping all over the place to bet on this one, but it does cause a little bit of concern here. Okay, so I like the over. He's really crushed it thus far this series. If we look at what he's done against Minnesota this year, averaging 23 fantasy points, really one bad game. The minutes are always going to be an issue with him, but overall, I kind of like the idea of getting to that, but I think that ends up being the better route to go. I don't really want to mess with his 19 or 9.5 points and assists. The appeal would be him getting multiple steals or even a block and steal, something like that. From there, Cornette, obviously he had a better game because Wemby got out. You can't really predict that. McDaniels, not messing with him. I probably like the under a little bit more there. And then, worth calling out here, guys, with Anthony Edwards. Kind of mentioned on the last site, we were getting 2 really good prop line differences between PrizePicks and Underdog for their fantasy score, and those 2 ended up hitting on Underdog. And so it's a little bit early for the Underdog fantasy score lines, but just be on the lookout for those. If they end up having their line at like 41.5 for Edwards, bet the over. I do think at 43.5, that does end up being mostly the correct line. So again, we don't necessarily need to force that. And then with that, we're starting to get a little bit too low here in regards to some of the lines. And I think we did a pretty good job of breaking down this whole slate. So with that, guys, let's go ahead and get into my 6 favorite bets here for this game. And so just to recap, guys, going ahead and get into the 9 to 5 bet of the day here for today. We got a 6-slip bet. Shannon is the plus EV bet right now for over his points. If it wasn't a plus EV bet, probably wouldn't begin to that. I'm betting on Naz Reed to be a little bit more pissed off in this game, maybe be a little bit more aggressive. Heck, maybe that gets him into foul trouble and that ends up not being a good thing. But betting on him to have a good game, mostly because of that, but also a standard game, he could get the over. Harper and also Castle here. This is dependent on Fox sitting or just not need to be as aggressive with his ankle injury. Okay, so if you guys didn't want to get to these two bets, I perfectly get it. The whole point is trying to gain a little bit of an edge there. Also true with Champagne here for his over fantasy score. Now, again, with him, the issue is the under has a 51% likelihood to hit. So again, I would have been much more excited to give you guys this bet if we were being told the bet on his over. So a little bit unfortunate there. Has been good against Minnesota. And then Randall, yeah, the data really likes his unders here, both the metrics and Vegas right now. So ends up being a pretty solid bet overall. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Appreciate you being here. I will try to come out with some MLB prop bets for Tuesday or maybe a Taco Tuesday video since I did this video today. I want to get out to you guys early because I did think we were getting some decent edges. But that's going to do it, guys. As always, make sure to like the video. If you guys have not subscribed, please do that. Leave a comment, guys. That always helps out the channel, but also share your guys' favorite bets and share your thoughts on some of the bets that I gave out. If you disagree, that's perfectly fine. Let us know why. If you guys would like access to that PrizePicks NBA Optimizer tool, well, make sure to head on over to 9to5sports.com, get access to that tool for a low monthly cost of $10 a month. That's going to do it, guys. Appreciate you being here. Good luck. Oh, wait, one more thing, guys. PGA Championships going on this week for fantasy golf. So if you guys want some coverage on that, maybe some outright bets or DFS plays, head on over to my 9 to 5 Golf YouTube channel and check that out. I put out a video already covering that. So kind of a fun, it's a fun week actually this week for golf because it ends up being more of a studs and duds week for DFS. So if you guys are someone that plays there, check that out. If you're betting, it does end up to me seemingly being more of a top heavy week. So kind of fun to kind of bet on some of the studs as well. All right, that's going to do it, guys. Appreciate you being here. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.